And now Jim Cramer. And on the Today Show earlier this week, Jim Cramer blasts the Obama administration for the downturn in the stock market. Listen to this.
I wish I could tell you that everything's going to be okay. I wish I could hold your hand. But until the Obama administration starts listening, until they start paying attention to what you're watching, to the stock market, until they realize that their agenda is destroying the life savings of millions of Americans, then all I can give you is caution. I think that we had a budget that came out that basically put a level of fear in this country that I've not seen ever in my life, and I think that changed everything. This is the greatest wealth destruction I've seen by a president.
Greatest wealth destruction I've seen by a president. Then propagandist Robert Gibbs, the president's spokesman, responds to Jim Cramer and attacks him.
Without understanding the basis for what Mr. Cramer said, I'm not entirely sure what he's pointing to make some of the statements that he's made. And I think you can go back and look at any number of statements that he's made in the past about the economy and wonder where some of the backup for those are, too. But some people watch and comment on the day-to-day. The president is much more focused on how to move this economy along for the long term, and not just for those that work on Wall Street. You know, the president, again, if you turn on a certain program, it's geared to a very small audience. No offense to my good friends or friend at CNBC.
All right, Jim Cramer's on a newsmaker line right now. Jim, you're a lifelong Democrat, first of all, right?
Well, before I was a Trotskyite, and then I became and morphed into a Democrat. Yes, absolutely, Sean.
Before I was a Trotskyite. Well, first of all, thanks for being with us on the program. I really appreciate it. But more importantly, you have responded and you have put out, and I love this. I mean, ways back when they were attacking me, I said I'd like to debate Obama, and Rush now said we'll debate Obama. You now have a response to the White House. Tell us what you said today.
Well, I think that the White House is very off base. I voted for Obama. I have given hundreds of thousands of dollars to Democrats who I thought were middle of the road, who were in favor of wealth creation, who believed that creating jobs and creating wealth and having a chance for everyone to get rich was a worthy goal. And that goal's been erased by this man, and I can't believe it. Look, put this agenda on hold until we get this country back on firm footing. It's not there now.
Boy, I look at what we've lost here. Investors Business Daily, Jim, and look, you follow the markets more closely than I do. But, 30% since the election, 30% of people's wealth is gone. $3 trillion gone. The FDIC on the verge of insolvency within the year. On top of bank bailouts, financial institutions, Fannie and Freddie and everything else that we've been bailing out here. And now he's rolling out nationalized health care, a $634 billion down payment on the biggest socialist experiment the world has ever seen. It's frightening.
Well, it's interesting you call it socialist, because on my show, I talk about the last guy who nationalized all the banks. And the guy who did it was Lenin. And it was done to be able to make it so the people were wealthier. And it's odd. I mean, as a student of the history of the Soviet Union, I find it for the first time relevant in about 15 years. I can't believe this is happening before my eyes. We're talking about 401ks. We're talking about IRAs. He seems to think we're talking about the canyons of Wall Street. Sean, I talk about 310 million people here. Well, the only people who are protected, I have to admit, are people with good government jobs and good pensions. They seem to be immune to the attack.
Boy, what a great way to say it. When the president said the other day that he's not, following the gyrations of the market, which was his term, it's sort of like a political pole. It goes up and down. I'm thinking, how out of touch can you be? Because there's not a person in my life, Jim, that hasn't lost money, that isn't afraid of losing their job. Honestly.
I think it's worse than that, Sean. He said it goes up and it goes down. Sean, it hasn't gone up.
It's down.
It's gone up maybe a couple days since he's come in, and the ferocious way it's going down, the gobs and gobs of points. I mean, this is not a poll. This is a forecast of the destruction, if not the second Great Depression. And look, I reiterate, I voted for him. I actually like the agenda. I like cap and trade. I think that rich people should pay their their fair share. Lincoln thought that himself. I mean, to mention, a great president, but this is not the time. We need to put that agenda so on hold. And when we get it, so more people are getting jobs than losing them, more people are wealthier than poorer, then if he wants to put through this agenda, then, be my guest.
Look, raising taxes in a slowing economy, in a recession, or you're even predicting a potential depression here, if I'm reading you right. You raise taxes on the wealthy. You read the Wall Street Journal every day. They had a piece the other day that if we confiscated the top 2% of wealth, or all the money of people in the top 2%, they even brought it down. If we confiscated the money of people that make $75,000 a year and above, it would never pay for this monstrosity.
And remember, one of the things that history, and I thought he was such a historian, and his team is so aware of history, but we all know that in 1937, without the country reeling out of the Great Depression, because it didn't end until Lend-Lease, FDR raised taxes. It was probably the worst mistake of his administration economically. And we're supposed to realize, where's the guy who we only have fear itself? We've got a president I fear every day. I keep pointing to today they bashed the oil executives. Yesterday they bashed the healthcare guys. I have a piece I'm doing now which says that we're all fat cats. Everybody's a fat cat. I don't know. I started a company that has 300 people working for it. Does that make me a fat cat?
You're a fat cat.
I'm a big fat. I'm a tomcat. I'm a lynx. I guess I'm a cougar. Holy cow! I'm upset about this. I see people every day that are going to have to work for the rest of their lives. They believed in a shareholder society. This is a country that is predicated upon your house, trying to get a house, American dream, trying to have a stock portfolio, American dream. Both are being destroyed. And what are we doing? We're raising taxes, and we're making so your utility bill goes up huge, and we're trying to put a lot of people out of work with the idea that we'll have some people building some bridges somewhere.